Hey everybody, welcome to some Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game for. This is an early version, this is the alpha, and I'm excited to share a little bit of this with you. Right off the bat, I want to say the way it looks versus the way it feels when you have the controller in your hands are two totally different things. So hopefully I can communicate some of the improvements. It's very much the same game as before with some polishing and some just little changes to gameplay. And I'm excited to share those differences with you and give you a first look here of the new game. So lots of locked content here. What we're really here for is a single event. So we'll go new single event. Obviously to the west, east, and 450. One thing I do want to note right off the bat is there is a massive list of riders. And I love this graphic with the wheels spinning. Pretty sweet, but you know, you can go all the way down the list. It's just a huge list of riders all across the board, and even some of the ones that people have been talking about and really wanting. The riders are in here. I don't know how extensive it all is. I don't pick it apart too much, but I will tell you, for everybody that's asked me, you can ride as Ken Roczen here, which is something that in every video I've ever made on this game, people are like, why isn't Ken Roczen in here? Well, now here he is. So we're going to ride as Roczen just because we haven't been able to. And let's hop onto a track. I think, you know, there's some locked ones again as they're working on it and some weird text things here, but I think we're going to pick Atlanta, maybe. Yeah, let's go for Atlanta. Race options, the normal stuff, right? I got it at one shot. We'll go medium race length. Standard event type. I have the AI on hard. Realistic is pretty nuts. That's the one thing I will say is a big change, is they are pretty quick, but I always feel this way at the beginning until we really get into the groove. Advanced physics, so joint brakes off, rider weight manual, transmission manual, and all this nonsense off. So kind of your normal setup that you'd see me use. So, but they're not on realistic, so keep in mind the AI can go one step harder. So. But let's hop in here and be able to show you guys a little bit of the game.
Tonight's track looks like another great one. Ricky, how do you see this race?
The nice graphics. This is pretty cool being able to see Roczen in the spotlight on the stadium floor for opening ceremonies. A little change. It's nice to see all the pretty stuff they do in this game. All right, here we are on the gate. I will say the starting is the same as it's always been. In fact, there's actually a little glitch with some of the riders you might see, but you can just dive to the inside and pass everybody really easily like you've always been able to do in these games. One bit of feedback I would say would be it'd be nice to be able to have that changed up a little bit to where you can, when you increase the AI difficulty, it becomes harder to get that start. Maybe just a little bit of feedback. Please comment down below what you see, what you think should be improved. Just keep it respectful, right? It's pretty cool they're letting us see an early version of this game and provide feedback. So unfortunately that was kind of the worst I've seen so far, where the AI has some issues on that start. Basically what they're doing is they're wheeling and it's screwing up their momentum. They have to lift basically because of the wheelie, and then they lose everything. So just a little bit of feedback, but sometimes it's easier to see what the AI do when you're in a group. So let's try to kind of hang with this group a little bit. The collisions still feel the same. You can kind of just bully each other around, and if you just come to the inside of an AI, you can really just push them out of the way. That's always the trick when I do like those head start championships and stuff. You can kind of just go to the inside, push them out of the way, and you're in good shape. But again, the AI is more difficult. You'll see I'm going to be making some mistakes here, just like that, and they'll get by, but they are difficult. This is just on hard. Keep in mind, this is not on realistic difficulty. So there's one notch harder for the AI. I really like that double-double. As far as gameplay, there are a couple changes. Again, it's really hard to share those with you and make sure you kind of... I think most people are going to look at this and go, oh, it's the same old game, right? Well, it is. I'll be frank. But, again, I always relate this... Sorry, Chisholm. I relate this game to like the 2K games, or MLB The Show, all those the sports games that come out with an annual release, and that's what this is. It's an annual release where they can make some improvements. And you can only imagine how COVID affected them, their team, their time. You know, all the time that Italy was shut down. It's like there's no way that they were able to just change the world this year with this game. I'm impressed they were even able to release it, and now they're looking for feedback. So again, post up in those comments. Let me know, what do you think? What do you think needs to be changed? What's on your dream list? I will be writing an email to them very specifically of what my feedback is and what I'd like to see changed, and I'm going to use some of the community feedback. So please post up in the comments. Let me know what you think. We know it's basically kind of the same game with some improvements, right? And this is just an alpha, so just keep that in mind. I like this outside for some reason. Ooh, tough blocks. Chisholm. So, how the bike actually feels. What I'd have to say is one thing that's a little bit different for sure is you can't rotate the bike as easily on the exit of a corner like you used to be able to. Trying to show you there, you can kind of slide the bike around quite a bit if you really push it. Oops, screwed up that line. We'll have to double here, see what that leaves us with. And maybe we can try to attack some of these AI again. But you have to be careful, basically, if you're trying to really rail a corner to be able to jump something, or if there's like a flat ground area where you're just trying to pin it, and it's a slight turn into a jump. You can't just turn a little bit and be able to just hook up and make that crazy jump or whatever. It's like you really do have to be patient on the exit of corners. Make sure your bike is rotated before you get on the gas, and that's something that they improved last time around, and I think it's just even more drastic this year. And again, I think that's a big improvement. Last year, I'd say the biggest improvement was that they made it where you could like you couldn't actually move the bike around in the air as much, right? So that was the big improvement there. And it was nice. You couldn't just get away with something silly. You were able to really have some great battles because of that in multiplayer, just because the key was really to make sure you're lined up and set up for that corner, or for that jump ahead of you, and you're committed to it like you would be on a real bike. You're not able to just move your bike over feet in the air. So it's that, but also on the ground. So in the exit of a corner, even right here, right, to make sure you get turned for that tight corner, or even this, you can't just get on the gas early. You're either going to just spin like I did there, or you're going to push wide. And it's a pretty narrow margin there, so you have to be aware of that. Otherwise, the braking, the way the suspension feels, all feels pretty similar. The bike feels pretty smooth, I'll say, over some of the rough stuff. It looks like it handles it well, the animations, things like that. I like the way the bike feels. Again, I'm using that rear brake. Let's battle with these guys real quick. I'm using the rear brake in the corners to help me rotate a little bit. But now that I'll just kind of focus on this battle so you can kind of see what it's like more seriously with the AI. So the inside, I'll even hold up a little bit just to block him. Oh, he made a mistake. Air physics, same as always, I would say. I don't see any difference. Even if you just try to do the single stick whip in the air, it's like you kind of just barely move the bike unless you're going off of a big jump, and then it's just the same kind of, it's not a whip, right? I mean, I'll show you guys right here. It's like you turn it, you can go a little bit more extreme than that, but it's not, the air physics are exactly the same. Don't expect anything. But I know they're working on it, and I know it's important to them, and it's the feedback that everyone's been giving them. You gotta think, they see the comments, they see what people want, they know people want big whips, but it's not as simple as that, right, to make it work well. So Just keep all that in mind. We know, I think the ground physics are pretty similar, but with some slight improvements, maybe a little bit more polish, even just the way the bike and the rider looks, the jersey blowing in the wind. There's some positives for sure. But I will say it's very similar, right? It's very, very similar, excluding the couple things I talked about. It's nice to be able to play on these tracks, and to have people like Ken Roxon. The game's just expanding and improving every year, no doubt. It's just that they're small improvements, and I think some people can't get over that. May as well enjoy it, right? I'm glad we have this dirt bike game, and just know what you're getting. Just know exactly what you're getting. We're not fooling anybody. If you're expecting a game that is completely different or game-changing, I wouldn't expect that. If you're going into this expecting that, you're going to be let down. It's like going into a movie, going to a movie theater, sitting down, and expecting that movie to be the best movie you've ever seen, or just amazing, right? If you expect that, half the time you're let down. You need to go in open-minded, and I think that's what you have to do here. There's a lot of fun to be had, but it's going to be very similar to the experiences you had previously, with just some more polish, right? More polish, and maybe a few new features or content like Ken Roxon, things like that. So that's my little preach, but overall the game feels pretty nice. Oh my god. It's just very it's very consistent, right? I think this is such a great game for the average person to pick up and be immersed in Supercross, which is exactly what we need from a game like this. And last year the game came out, and I think we all had the same feeling, right? And we knew it, right? But keep in mind, especially for you PC players, I don't know if they did one on console, but like the DMR series, they did a full series, as they always do, and it was super competitive. If you want to be the fastest guy in the game, there is a skill gap. You're fooling yourself if you think you can go out there and just be the best because the game's easy. That's how all the top guys feel, is that the game's relatively easy, but I'll tell you what, there is a massive gap between the guys that are super fast and the people that think they're fast. It's a huge gap, and it's all because you figure out ways to go that little bit quicker and eke out a little bit, like tenths here and there, hundredths, whatever, and it can be a super fun competitive thing. So just keep that in mind. That's something that I always fall back on, going, it's like, man, it's crazy. It seems like the game's pretty easy, but if you're going to kill it and you're landing every single rhythm perfect, as I case something, it takes some work, and to eke out every little tenth because you're hitting the scrub just perfect, or you're able to hit that line that is super hard to hit consistently, and you're the guy that can hit it every time. If you're a competitive, serious player, this game still has a lot of fun for you. So don't overlook it just because it's an arcade game. Some of the best motocross fun that everyone's had, over the years was something like Reflex, right? Where it's a pretty simple, easy game, right? But to really master that and haul, you had to know the ins and outs. You had to hit everything perfect. You had to carry that momentum like nobody else could. And that's exactly what this game does. And it's pretty, right? But yeah, it's an arcade game, and it's like an annual release with updated content. The real things that stick out to me here are that you have to be careful as you rotate through the corner. It's not just a given, right? You have to be smart with it. You have to wait till that bike's rotated before you just pin it. It's just not going to work. You have to be smart. You have to be patient in the corners. And overall, I think the game's gonna be great. This is a hell of a starting point, I will say. I've played every game early, and they always change quite a bit. So this is a great starting point. In fact, I'd say it's the strongest starting point that I've seen in one of these games. So that's something, right? That's definitely something to share. I think the game's going to improve before release, I believe March 11th globally. So keep your eyes out for that. I'm going to be making more videos to chat, and maybe I can kind of reflect on some of the comments you guys put out there and share my thoughts. But again, comment below. What do you think of the game? What would you like to see within reason, right? I'd love to see that, and I'll share that with the devs. So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. And until next time, I will talk to you later. Peace out.